Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello there, welcome to another fresh edition of your number one program, Money Radio on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, and it sure feels good to be hosting you on this program once again after a long hiatus. Today on Money Radio, as we normally do on the program, we review and discuss front page leading stories on your number one business paper, national economy, and of course, inside stories as well. And of course, as usual, with me in the studio is an in house analyst. He's also the editor of National Economy, Kingsley Alu. Kingsley, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a while
Yes.
having you on the program.
Yeah,
How have you been?
very fine. Well done.
Okay. Now, without wasting much time, we are looking at the leading stories on national economy this week, Monday, June 19th, 2023. National economy is that it is a weekly paper. Let's see what the paper is leading with this week. It says, how Tinubu's government can improve ease of doing business, stakeholders. How Tinubu's government can improve ease of doing business, stakeholders. And of course, you have pictures of a potpourri of events there of workers working. And we also have other stories, the dark side of the cashless economy. Of course, for every coin, each side of a coin always has a good side and its bad side. On page 10 of National Economy, you have the feature, the dark side of the cashless economy. We also have gas flaring, reps and probe of alleged 9 billion naira revenue loss. Gas flaring, reps and probe of alleged $9 billion revenue loss. And of course, you have the strip, the last strip, balancing economic growth and fiscal responsibility. Is on page 12 of National Economy today. And let's zoom in to the leading story, how Tinubu's government can improve ease of doing business, stakeholders. Now, Kingsley, back to you. We've always had all the 8 years, during the 8 years of President Muhammad Buhari's administration, he always talks about ease of doing business, ease of doing business. Unfortunately, the ease of doing business policies did not translate to the reality on ground. So, what is going to be different this time around?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it is important that the new leadership of the country, understand the need for the country to win confidence of international investors. If you look at so much noise that was made about ease of doing business in the past administration,
Yes,
you will be amazed to find out that nothing really changed.
it didn't change. Nothing translated to
It
reality.
didn't translate to new reality. Of course, if you look at the ranking, in 2016, Nigeria was out of 190 countries. Nigeria, was 169, and by the time you get to 2017, they were like, okay, there was a kind of a slight improvement. Nigeria was like 145. Then in 2020, of course, Nigeria was 131. But then compared to other climes, this is nothing to write home about. It goes there to tell you that definitely it's either there is apathy in the system, and the investors are very wary of
Yes,
coming into the system to put in anything there, or that government just feels that it can be business as usual. So it has really affected us. In fact, if you check the 2020 ranking, when CSE started operationalizing its tax system, when they integrated with the FRS, it kind of helps to ease up a lot of things in the system. And the World Bank also acknowledged that. That was actually the reason why the country was able to come 131.
Yes, there's a paragraph in the leading story. Let me just read it out on national economy. It says Nigeria has historically struggled in global rankings that assess the country's preparedness for business and investment. In previous years, Nigeria ranked poorly, reaching as low as 169 out of 190 countries in 2016 and 145 in 2017.
Yeah.
In the World Bank's base of doing business index 2020, just 3 years, less than 3 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
Nigeria ranked 131 out of 190 countries, showcasing the significant hurdles faced by businesses operating in the country.
Yeah.
Wow, how is that?
Well,
So, in other words, President Tinubu has an Herculean task to ensure that Nigeria moves from this ranking because it's actually low. Nigeria ranked 131 out of 190. In other words, Nigeria just got just about 59 countries.
yeah, the truth is that if you understood the way these government agencies operate, then there's need for government to understand this continue to realize that you need to streamline that bureaucratic processes.
Yes, so
You
much
know,
bureaucracy
so
involved.
much bureaucracy in the system. A lot of delays, red tape is in, and with the underlying corruption that go with them. So first of all, it has to start from there, because these are the people you are going to come to see tomorrow as an investor, and these are the people that either sit on your file or process it, so you can move to the next stage. So he needs to start with simplifying all these regulatory requirements, and make things easier. Let it flow. Let there be, and then they need a one-stop shop. They need a one-stop shop. So if you're an investor coming into the country, you know that once you enter this office, you on this desk, everything is in one
smoothly.
place.
You don't need
Move
to be
smoothly.
going from
Yes.
one agency to the other
Yes.
to facilitate it.
Though right now it is very, very, I mean, it's too tasking even to commence the process of trying to tidy up one or two documents, as regards what you've come to do in the country. But if you could actually move ahead, a step ahead, get these processes simplified, look at these regulatory requirements. How can we even make it, much more easier?
Okay, in what you just pointed out, does it have to do with maybe like what Oronsaye report said, major of some agencies?
Yes, they need to.
Does it also work for it?
Yes, that's the simple truth. There are too many of them duplicating functions.
Yes, duplicating functions.
And because it's about, it made them a bit redundant, because when you are doing what I am doing, I'm a bit redundant. What's the point? You come to me now, I do my job, I know they're going to come to you again. And this is how they'll be moving from one agency to another over one simple issue. So government has to start with this one, deal with these agencies, look at them, see if you need to implement the recent report. If that will make things better, then why not go ahead?
And apart from this ease of doing business, that is also to attract foreign foreign investment. We also have an issue of even for export. Do you know that having your goods processed for export is so difficult?
It's very difficult.
Before you can even get a NAFDAC license, it takes a while. It takes a whole month. It has gamut of processes. So what can actually be done? Because you just pointed it out. Like, is it just the major involved, or why is this so? Why is it that this bureaucracy is just really hampering on Nigerians' quest to have a
That is why he needs to take the bull by the horn. You understand? It is very, very important, because it requires, willpower. You have to have the will, political will, to be able to enforce these things, so that the system can open up again. If you go to other countries, it's not always.
And it has to do it now, considering the fact that Naira, just like you heard in the news last week, Naira is floating now.
Yeah.
They are floated in Naira.
Yes.
And you just need to have more imports.
Yes.
More yes.
Yes.
More export.
More export and all the rest of them.
So that you can have foreign currencies coming in.
Yes.
So what exactly should be done?
Apart from that, let's even look at the rule of law and contract enforcement.
Yes.
That is also important. Government should pay attention to the rule of law. It should be able to, and then make sure contracts are enforced. And there are even establishment of special courts, to try cases that are in court, contract-related, cases in court, so they will be dispensed with so easily. It's not if you have issue with it in court, it stays endless, years upon years upon years. Which investor will be encouraged to come in, whether local or international? Which investor will put their money in that kind of system? And then, of course, there's also need for government to look at the issue of infrastructure, because one, it will reduce the cost of doing business, and it's also improve logistics and supply chains, and also market access. So if we are really serious about improving in this ease of doing business ranking, infrastructure must be key. It must be key. The previous administration started, then halfway down the line, politics
When
took over.
you talk about infrastructure, what do you mean? What type of infrastructure?
Let's start
do you
with
have in mind?
road infrastructure. Let's look at all the infrastructure generally, because you know when they travel outside, you know they see how things work.
Yes,
You have light, you have good road, you have everything working. If they need to even privatize the road, do it. Whatever it takes to get those things working, do it. Then look at some of these rail projects that somewhere along the line got stalled. Look at how
Yes.
you can complete them. Because
You know, that is why, not that you just mentioned the rail project, that is why many Nigerians are also skeptical, because they feel that, yes, when President Muhammad Buhari stepped in that time, remember this railway that got stopped
yeah,
in the second term of
Yeah.
President Muhammad Buhari's administration. That first thing, it was wow.
wow.
Nigerians were wowed
We are
by
very
the
happy,
fact that
yeah.
railway is working.
Yes.
You see the minister there, Minister of Transportation, Amechi, taking train rides to
Yes.
Kaduna and all whatnot. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, there was
We're almost back to square one.
yes, very, very
Back to square one.
unfortunately
And before you know, those facilities will start rotting. There's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah.
So government has to pay attention. For the main, okay, for instance, now African Continental Free Trade area, very soon after has almost taken, is about to take off. How do you even compete in that kind of huge market when you don't have the necessary infrastructure? Do you understand me? You need the poor logistics, everything, poor market access. Do you understand me? So to improving our cost of ease of doing business, we need to pay attention to infrastructure. For the main fact, like I've told you, you know, to improve our logistics and the supply chains, and then of course market access. People like fluidity when they are doing things. When things are fluid, you know, you don't need to come there and belabor yourself so much to get results. Then of course you look at the issue of intellectual property rights.
yes.
You know, every investor, whether local or international, want to be guaranteed that this thing is my thing.
And you know, okay, I just
Do you understand
yes.
me? So it is very, very important. And I think government should pay attention to that. Abroad, you know, when if you have an item and it with an intellect, you have your intellectual property right protected. So that means you can make money from it.
You know, I once listened to the DJ of World Trade Center, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and she did say that we are not going to benefit from what you just pointed at this after that, because Nigeria is not actually at the end. We are not participating in the end user parts of products. We only have raw materials which we take outside the country, like for instance cocoa and all whatnot. Meanwhile, Nigeria is the largest producer of shea butter, but we are not doing anything about it. We still take shea butter and we still depend on foreigners to return them to us as finished goods. So at the end of the day, Nigeria is not making much impact.
Nice.
Not going to make much and be a beneficiary of this
of course
after.
Of course.
What can actually be done? Why can't we attract these industries to tap into the resources, the raw materials that we have, so that we can have good finished products?
Like I told you, it's about political will. You know,
but what about individuals, Nigerians? Because you don't need the federal government to come and be setting up industries in all these areas. What happened to Nigerians who are supposed to be, you know, vibrant and
no, it's about the policy. For instance, if you're a manufacturer, for instance, you want to start up your business, you need loan.
Yes.
You need loan.
Yes.
Do you understand me? And these loans don't just happen. It has to go through a process. You have to follow through before it could be approved.
Yes.
And there are conditions.
Okay.
What was
sorry, I have to cut you short. That we just have to go on a short break. When we come back, we are going to continue with your trend of thought. What viewers don't go away, just stay tuned, because we are going to conclude on the thought on why are we not having so many investors tapping from our rich raw materials. Don't go away, stay tuned.
sponsorship, and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. This is Money Radio, where we discuss front page news, features, reports, commentary, and editorials on your weekly business paper, National Economy. Welcome back. My name is Winifred Ugwebo once again, and with me in the studio is always our in-house analyst and, of course, the editor of National Economy, Kingsley Alu. Kingsley, thank you so much once again. And, of course, before we went on a break, we were talking about what are then the odds of investors to tap from Nigeria's rich raw materials.
Let us even start with the one-stop shop thing we're talking about. The reason why you need it is because it will all this kind of minimize all these delays, and enhance transparency.
Yes, it has transparency.
Yes, enhance transparency, minimize delays, enhance transparency. So if you're an investor, for instance, or just until recently when NIPC, Nigeria Investment Commission started having issues, it's a place you're supposed to walk in and you get what you want. You understand me? But then internal rivalry has been really government should also
hamper their work because
hearing
reports
negative
pleas
and all manner of things, in fighting and all whatever. So government should also be looking at such agencies because they are key. They are key to any major reform government wants to carry out. This administration wants to carry out. Because they need to, investor has to be confident that when he comes in, within even possibly 24 hours, he's properly gotten everything. So long as, if you say these are the requirements and as present requirements, I don't expect that you'll be telling me to come back in 2 weeks' time. I expect that in the next 24, highest 48 hours, you've sorted me out. Do you understand me?
Yes. And one other thing again that is also cheering news, the fact that the president just signed, although it was signed before by President Muhammad Buhari, the electricity bill into law. And if states can generate their own electricity, I think the power issue should be something of the past.
Yeah, that is cheering news.
Yes, it is.
But let's look at the implementation now. Talk is cheap. It has been signed into law. Let's look at what the various state governments will do. So because we notice that for some it's politics or issue, it's a law. There are so many of them. When we were talking about the last time we look at how many licenses federal government issued to all your major operators in this country to build refineries. And the last count, over 18 licenses, more than 18 licenses, over close to 100 something. Yet, not one single refinery was built. So it is one thing to see you've signed this into law, but also you have to put a mechanism in place that will ensure that this thing haven't been signed into
a viable
ground for them to be able to move. And there has to be kind of a system where they are monitored, activities are monitored in the states. It's not a matter of I've signed it, you cannot produce it. Then because you don't like my face, I don't like your face. You slow the process. So government also have to put in place, apart from signing this, they have to monitor, the pace of development as regards the sector in those states. It is very, very important because when investors know that they are going to spend little or nothing on electricity, they will be encouraged to come and put their money in your state. But when they know when you come, you have to spend a lot of money buying diesel, buying fuel, those things are not really encouraged. It will deter them. And that is what World Bank wants us to do as a country. We've come of age. It's no longer about making excuses that we're young democracy. What is young in
Nigeria? How many years?
There are many years of this thing. But we look at the money they have frittered away. Those are money they could have used, to develop the economy. So if there's any time now to get this thing right, this is the time. Government has to wake up, has to wake up. NIPC, they should beam their searchlight in that agency. It is very, very important. For Nigeria Export Promotion
Then what
Commission,
okay, you talk about NIPC. What about NEPSA?
well, NEMSA is
Export.
that one deals basically with the free trade zones.
Okay, okay.
But for Nigeria Export Promotion, Council, they are doing well. They are doing well, going by what they have at their disposal. The main problem, the challenge now is for investors to be able to come into the country and get their papers sorted out without waste time. CSA has been carrying out a lot of reforms, which actually was also acknowledged. So that alone is already set, and they are still carrying out more reforms to ease the process. Then, of course, like we've mentioned, NIPC, they have to beam their searchlight there. Then you look at the states. If you have signed any law, make sure that they are implemented in those states. It shouldn't allow one power or somebody, one governor somewhere to stall the process.
To hijack the process.
Hijack everything and then be telling us stories at the end of the day.
Just before we will still come back to that while we are rounding up, but let's go inside pages of national economy. It's not just the leading stories too. Let's see what the editorial page 3 is telling us today. Nigerian's editorial is Nigerian National Economy editorial says Nigeria's enduring role in International Day of Family Remittances. Nigeria's enduring role in International Day of Family Remittances. And of course, part of the editorial says that investments in education and skill development programs within Nigeria can create opportunities for employment and reduce the need for migration in the first place. That is the Japa syndrome. Cooperation between Nigeria and countries of destination can facilitate safe, orderly, and regular migration channels, ensuring the protection of the rights and well-being of Nigerian migrant workers. So Nigeria's participation in the International Day of Family Remittances exemplifies its significant role in global migration and development. It is important for the world to recognize the resilience, sacrifices, and unwavering commitment of Nigerian migrant workers worldwide. That is part of the editorial as Nigeria celebrates International Day of Family Remittances. From page 3, we move over to page 4 of National Economy, and it's on the leading story too, how Tinubu's government can improve ease of doing business stakeholders. Of course, a continuation from the front page, the leading story of this week's paper. From page 4, we see page 7. Let's see what page 7 is all about. Page 7 is all about human resources, reputation management, shaping perceptions for business success. Reputation management, shaping perceptions for business success. Business can leverage PR to cultivate brand trust, manage crises, minimize reputational damage, and build positive relationships with key stakeholders. That is on page 7 on human resource page. Reputation management, shaping perceptions for business success. And for more on that, you have to log on to the website to read more for those that are operating companies and business concerns. From page 7, we move over to page 8. Page 8 is a comment by guest column. It's by Arize Wombu, President Tinubu and issues on monetary policy. President Tinubu and issues on monetary policy. Interest rate reduction, which President Tinubu indicated in his inauguration speech, can stimulate economic growth and employment, but it can also create easy money, which can escalate inflation, aggravate default rate in bank loans. That's the quote on comment by our guest column Arize Wombu, President Tinubu and issues on monetary policy. From page 8, we move over to page 10 of the paper. There's also a comment too on the dark side of the cashless economy. It's also one of the leading stories on the cover of National Economy this week, the dark side of the cashless economy. And in the short term, that is the advantage. Criminals have developed insidious ways to breach your networks. That is why they have continuously gained access to your identity, clone your corporate account, and hijack your wallet. Of course, there are many inherent dark sides of the cashless economy. A blade will manicure your nails or it can slit your throat, ending a life. Technology is not malicious. Some minds can make it perform malicious activities. That is the problem. And the solution, it says, do not ask me. For more on that, you can just also log onto the website to read more on the dark side of the cashless economy. From that, we move over to page 13, which is a feature story. Okay, we is a feature story on globalizing African voices on illicit financial flows, asset recovery. Globalizing African voices on illicit financial flows, asset recovery. From page 13, we see move over to page 17 of national economy. Page 17 says NASENI, Nigeria's global quest for industrialization. NASENI, Nigeria's global quest for industrialization, is actually a technology page 17. NASENI has also provided machines for the power sector, including solar installation materials that have made significant impact in the renewable energy drive of the country. From page 17 technology page, we see page 18. Page 18 is an opinion, an act amendment, the futility of weakening ICPC. Act amendment, the futility of weakening ICPC. Yes, from that we move over to the back page of the paper. The back page is the analyst beyond the headlines. Flotation of the naira towards a unified foreign exchange rate in Nigeria. Flotation of the naira towards a unified foreign exchange rate in the rate in Nigeria. This much we can take on today's national economy on paper review. For more stories, both headline stories on the cover and inside stories, just log on to the website www.nationaleconomy.com. Now, Kingsley, one last word just before we close. What can be done? What should President Tinubu bear in mind now as he mounts the straddle of Nigeria's leadership?
Yeah, all said and done, he needs technocrats,
Yes,
who don't have political ties.
yes, because the economy has to work.
Because the economy has to work. This issue of politics by compensation should not happen now.
Okay.
Because at the point now where we find ourselves, this country is either we are moving forward and we're retrogressing further.
Yes.
And we want to move forward.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
you should get competent hands. Let him forget about those who helped him in campaign, helped him this and that. Get people who can do the job. Obasanjo did it. It worked for him.
Yes,
Jonathan did it. It worked for him. He can also do it. It was only in the regime of President Buhari that we started hearing, you just get all manner of people and they jump them together and you expect results that never happened anyway. So there's the only way to go about it and then improve our ease of doing business ranking. It is very, very important.
Thank you so much for that. It's been a pleasure having
you
on today's program. And of course, as usual, I look forward to having you same time next week.
Thank you.
What viewers is where we round up on today's newspaper review of national economy. Is a weekly business paper on the stable of Leadership Media Group. My name is Winifred Obebo, and I look forward to seeing you same time, same station on the program. Bye. See you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.